In the summer of 1998, my friend and I were getting ready to go to a party. We were driving to an intersection when all of a sudden a bus came quickly from our side. Everything happened so fast that we didn't have time to react in any way. I heard a loud bang. Then time seemed to slow down, like a slow-motion scene in a movie. I watched as the windshield continued to shatter, like a layer of frost on the glass. Shards of glass began to fly everywhere. I looked out the window with fear in my heart. We were getting closer and closer to the concrete piles on the side of the road, and they were like relentless behemoths waiting for us. I realized that we could die in this crash. In that moment, many things flashed through my mind. I thought of my family and those unfulfilled dreams. I regretted not cherishing every moment of my life. Suddenly, the noisy sounds around me disappeared, and so did the bumpy feeling. I felt a pair of warm arms holding me tightly. Although I couldn't see him, I could feel his presence, his care and guardianship over me. In his embrace, I felt liberated in body and soul. I began to move upward. As I looked down, I saw the tragic scene of the crash. The vehicle was badly deformed from the impact. Shards of glass were scattered all over the place. The surrounding roads had also become very chaotic. The scene of the crash was filled with tension. I saw police cars and ambulances coming to the scene. I saw myself being carried on a stretcher. My face was pale and expressionless. I did not feel fear or pain because I knew I was now safe. I had come to a place of light where there was no pain or worry, only peace and love. Here I felt an intense joy and happiness. After a while, we finally reached our destination. To my right was a city that was built with glass-like materials that shone with a brilliant light. The entire city exuded an air of nobility and mystery, like a dreamy wonderland. And to my left was a beautiful field. In this field, children ran happily, their laughter echoing in the air. I also see many animals. This is a happy paradise where all creatures live together. I was going to continue along the creek. The angel beside me stopped me, and I could finally see his face clearly. He was very handsome, about 30 years old. He was wearing an elegant beige robe that gave off a warm glow. The material of the robe was very smooth and soft. His eyes were very bright, as if they could see into people's hearts. He had a smile on his face that was so loving that it made me feel completely accepted and understood. He had long, silky blonde hair. His skin was flawless. His presence made me feel endlessly cared for. He was like a guide for my soul, leading me through the confusion and the unknown to a brighter future. He smiled at me and said, "Come, follow me." With the angel's guidance, we entered one of the buildings. The buildings were spectacular, some with roofs that could not even be seen. As soon as I stepped inside, I was struck by its grandeur. The place looked like a library, and it was very spacious inside. In this huge library, I saw countless scrolls, arranged from top to bottom. Here, I saw many people who were reading the contents of the scrolls. They greeted me warmly, welcoming my arrival. I had an inexplicable sense of belonging, as if this place was the home I had been searching for. I was invited to join them. There was no competition here, only sharing and cooperation. Curious, I opened a scroll that contained a record of a person's life from birth to death. I realized that everyone has a role to play on Earth. Before we come into this world, we seem to have chosen how we will live our lives. These experiences contain joy and happiness as well as pain and challenges. These are not good or bad because they are simply roles that we play. Everyone's journey through life is unique. Everything we experience plays an important role in our growth. The records in this scroll have made me realize that the meaning of life is not in what we appear to be good or bad, but in the truth and wisdom we find in it. Every experience is an opportunity for our souls to grow and evolve. The parts that are imperfect are equally important because they make us more resilient and inspire us to pursue a better future. There can't be only good things in this world. If everyone had easy access to everything they wanted, the world would lack the motivation to progress. It is by constantly surpassing ourselves that we can continue to create a better world. I have learned a great deal here. A lot of knowledge goes beyond what the human world can comprehend. When we come across a math problem, someone tells us the answer directly, but we don't know the calculation process behind the answer. This feeling makes me very helpless. Although I tried to study hard, some things were very deep to me. Finally, the angel told me that it was time to go back. I felt very sad. I longed to continue learning and growing here. With the angel's guidance, I began to descend. Everything around me became smaller and smaller, as if it were a picture of distance. I slowly felt the weight of my body. The ethereal feeling was fading. The scene around me began to blur, as if it was covered by a layer of fog. This process lasted for some time, giving me enough time to review the experience. I felt the change in my surroundings and heard voices in the hospital. When I awoke, I found myself lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by white walls and medical equipment. After a week of treatment and observation, I gradually recovered and the doctor told me that I could leave the hospital. However, my friend was not so lucky. His injuries were more serious than mine. He needed longer rehabilitation and treatment, and he stayed in the hospital for almost 3 months. This experience made me realize deeply the preciousness and fragility of life. We should cherish every day and the people around us.